Hello everyone, welcome back. Lovely to see you all as always. And let's go straight into the superpower. So take a deep breath and either close your eyes or leave them open, whichever you prefer. And go into your superpower state, however you normally do that. So by repeating your word or phrase, or using your anchor, or focusing on your subject, on hugging your subject. Very good. And start to feel your heart opening, that expansion feeling in your chest. And allowing that light, that energy to shine out from you, from your heart. Very good. And now allow that light, that energy to spread down to your toes, up to the top of your head, and out to your fingertips. So you're now full of that light, that energy, that love. Good job. And now allow that light, that energy to fill each of the 50 trillion cells that make up your body. Loving each cell just for existing. Very good. Now allow that light, that energy to fill yourself as a child, that little you, any age, from the tips of their toes to the top of their head and out to their fingertips. Love that child just for existing. Imagine them being filled with that light, that energy, that love, no matter what. Shining that light into any darkness. And now allow that light, that energy to overflow from that child, that little you, and fill your whole childhood. Everything, everyone, every experience, every circumstance, fill it all with that light, that energy, that love, exactly as it is, shining that light into any darkness. Very, very good. And now allow that light, that energy to overflow from you and fill everyone in the group today. Everyone who's in this session today, those on camera, those off camera. Love each one just for existing. Very, very good. You can open your eyes if you have them closed. And let's check in with everybody to find out how you're all doing. So Katrina, you're first up on my screen. How are you today?
Wonderful. I had a great time there with Steve. So yes, I'm back on Charmaine and ready to play the drums.
Fantastic, fantastic. And how did your visit go over the weekend that we worked on Friday?
Yes, that was absolutely fantastic. Everything that you done with me.
Yes.
That all. I practiced the new memories and got everything up and running. So when they arrived too early. They were 2 hours before the time.
Wow.
I wasn't ready, and I amazed myself how good I was, you know. So
well done.
Yes, it was brilliant. Yes.
Yes.
So then there was
Did you have a good time with them? Was it nice having them there?
Excellent time, and they couldn't get over how I was relaxed and chilled, and we went for a walk, and I was, you know, fun and loving and easy and all this. Yeah. But then there was a tail ender after they left.
Yes.
Which Steve worked on there now.
Yes.
But we don't need to talk about that because it's now sorted. So.
Okay, very good. So Steve helped you go through that and change it. Fantastic. Yeah. Well done, Katrina. I'm so excited for you and so proud of you. So very, very proud of you. Good job, you.
But I have one question for you, Odille.
Of course.
Right. So I have noticed, I would say, in the past month, what? Yeah, well, basically, why is my body super happy to keep adding on more weight the deeper I get into this healing journey? There seems to be each week, I'm getting, emotionally, I'm getting lighter, but the weight is getting heavier.
All right, so that's a very good question, and you are not alone. So several people find, I say several people, I mean a percentage of people find that as they start working on themselves, they find they put on weight instead of losing weight, which is what they intend to do. And it's going to vary from person to person, but one of the subconscious reasons for that, I think, is protection. So being overweight is a metaphoric expression of protection, keeping yourself safe, keeping yourself protected. So what can happen is that as you are uncovering stuff that feels unfamiliar, that feels to your subconscious like it's dangerous because it's changing the status quo, there could be that as well. And then the other part for me that I found was, of course, menopause. That was so that's been and that's, unfortunately the happy coffee isn't available over there yet. Otherwise I would recommend that, because that's what's working for me. But in the meantime, the best thing to do is to continue with being happy as much as possible. So here's what something that I've learned actually just recently in neuroscience is that serotonin is not just for mood. It's not just for happiness. It plays a lot of roles in the body, including appetite and sleep. So the happier you get, all other things being equal, the less you need to eat to to fill a space or comfort eat or that kind of thing. So a couple of things. One thing I would recommend is finding out, is there anything that are there any behaviors you would like to change? So for example, do you know that there's certain things you're eating that are putting on the weight and you'd prefer not to eat them? Or drinking something, or timing, do you find you're eating consistently as opposed to just, when you're during a particular time of day when you're hungry, that kind of thing. Everybody's body is different, so it's going to be different for different people. So it's difficult to home in on that. But the eating thing and any exercise, resistance to exercise, anything like that, do you have anything there that makes sense so far?
Well, I know that every time I'm doing the work, this emotional stuff, I feel as if I need a reward.
There it is. Yes.
Yeah. So so I have the crisps every day, and I have the biscuits and the Mars bar.
Yes, perfect. Okay, so let's look at that, because that we can work with. So feeling like you need a reward. Now, I had that as well. Because my mum, one of the things my mum was very big on was treating yourself. You have to go to the dentist, so you treat yourself. We will go for coffee afterwards, or we will buy you a comic or something like that. There was always something to make up for the not nice thing. And so where in your childhood did you learn about having a reward? And it may or may not be food.
Well, on a Sunday, we weren't allowed sweets, but on a Sunday, I think there was a packet of Rollerball, and you were allowed one. If it took two, you were greedy.
Okay, this is perfect.
Oh.
Yes. And now that you're an adult, you don't have to do without. You don't have to wait till Sunday and have only one. You get to have whatever you want, whenever you want, because now you're an adult. Nobody's stopping you. That makes sense. That makes perfect sense. Okay, so let's do this in a couple of steps. So when you think of your childhood, what we want to do is a stepping stone where there's a larder or a cupboard or whatever that has all the treats in it. There's crisps, there's which for the Americans is chips, there's biscuits, which is cookies, there's chocolates, there's all kinds of things in this cupboard or larder, all your favorite things, okay? And your mum and dad say to you, sweetie, just help yourself whenever you want. This, it's there. Help yourself. We know, we trust you. We know your body will tell you when you've had enough or whether you need something or not. There's also plenty of healthy food. So there's there's a wide range of everything. Okay. And then allow that little you to have what she wants. Okay. And see your parents condoning it, encouraging it, supporting it, all of that. So that's the stepping stone. Okay. You got that so far?
That I'm allowed to eat the whole bar?
If you want to, absolutely. So this is in your childhood. These are the new memories. This is stepping stone new memories, okay?
Yeah, but the greed is overriding. You can have the whole
that's
bar.
What we want to, yeah, so that's what we want to get to. So the end result we're aiming for is that as a child, so I'm going to tell you a little thing that'll give you kind of a real, an actual real life reference of what we're aiming for. My son, when he was little, absolutely adored olives and lemon and things like that, and celery. He adored celery and spinach. And he used to take those to school with him. He would take sticks of celery and baby spinach leaves. His friends thought he was nuts. But he preferred olives over sweets. So I'm just giving you that as an example. You can create that for you and create your parents the way I used to tell people. Your parents are saying to people, it's amazing. She will choose, whatever, celery, whatever it is you want to eat. Now, over sweets and cakes, she'll eat sweets and cakes if she wants to, but she prefers healthy stuff, which is amazing. We're so thrilled. That kind of thing. So create those kind of memories. Now, let's look at the greedy thing. And I had the greedy thing in my childhood as well. That was my grandmother. So how do you know about greed? How do you know it exists and what it is?
Probably one of them saying, if you went to take two, it's like, don't be greedy.
Good. You have a memory of that, or is it just a knowing?
I'm trying to work out which, either one of them probably on different occasions might have said it.
Sorry, say that again.
Mum or dad could have said it.
Right. Okay. So they said, so you were told this about being greedy, and what's wrong with being greedy? So if they say don't be greedy, what's wrong with it?
Well, because they were making it's like, you don't want to be greedy. It's like they were, what's the word? They were chastising or looking down on it. You don't.
There you go. Very, very good. And any other references for greed? So in other words, did you witness people being greedy? Did your culture talk about greed being a sin? Anything like that?
Yes, my father would refer to other people in the circle.
Yes.
Being very greedy, where money was concerned, and done deals that's underhand, whatever.
Very, very good. So for everybody else as well, do you see here how it's not about don't be greedy with the cookies or the chocolates or whatever? There's other references that are supporting that, because if it was just don't be greedy, that may not have been strong enough to last and manifest the way it has in your life. But seeing your dad talk about others, the child mind or the child subconscious goes, it's dangerous, it's life-threatening to do that thing because my dad won't love me anymore. And that is, then I'll, as far as evolution goes, then I will die. If those who raise me don't care about me, don't like me, don't love me, I'm not important, or they're disgusted with me or angry with me, my life, I will die, because we're not designed to survive alone. So do you see why that's such a strong feature?
Well, no, but I was going to say, they're not here now, so they can't see me being greedy or not greedy.
Right. But your subconscious does not know that. Your conscious mind knows it, of course, but your subconscious doesn't know it. To your subconscious, everyone is here right now, and everything is happening right now. So that's why, so two reasons. That's why we are so affected by our childhood memories, because it's all happening right now as far as the subconscious is concerned. And it's why we change childhood memories, because it's all happening right now as far as the subconscious is concerned. Does that make sense?
Well, the mind's going, I can't hear nothing.
Yeah, I bet it is. All right. So here's what we want to end up with. We want to end up with, number one, let's change your dad talking about the other people. Let's change that first, because the reason it had such an impact on you when they said don't be greedy is because, as they said don't be greedy, your subconscious was referring to what happens with people who are greedy. And what happens is your dad gets angry with them, doesn't like them, is disgusted by them, whatever that reference was. Do you see that? So we want to change your dad's reaction first. So, do you know Robert Kiyosaki? Have you heard of Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad?
I've heard of the book, but I haven't read it, no.
Okay, so I recommend reading that if you want, or it's probably on Audible if you want to listen to it. Whatever format you get, I recommend going through that book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, because it will help to change your conscious, at least your conscious attitude to wealth and greed, what's greed, the truth about being greedy and so on. And for your conscious mind, being greedy is coming from a position of fear and lack. It's not about having more than you need. Having more than you need is not greedy. It's normal. There's nothing wrong with it. Greed is not it's not an aggressive or what's the word, that kind of an evil or that kind of thing. It's coming from fear of lack. I won't, grabbing things because you're frightened there's not enough or there won't be enough, and that is based in I'll die. So greed is a survival state. So, looking at someone and saying that's greedy, we've all given the meaning to greedy as being a bad thing, but it's not. It's a survival state. And if you look at puppies or any animals, when my sister pointed this out to me a few years ago, if you put a bowl of food in front of a whole litter of puppies, they don't go, oh, no, please, after you. No, I've had enough. You go ahead, right? They will get as much as they can because that's survival. And children, all of us, are designed for survival. Now, it's conditioned out of us with manners and, politeness and all that. But it's perfectly normal and natural to get as much as you can because it's survival instinct. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So hopefully that answers the conscious mind about greed. And then now that your conscious mind has got that information, now you can change your dad to where he was praising those people. He was admiring those people. I like people who know what they want, and they're not afraid to ask. They're not afraid to do what it takes to be successful, and everybody takes responsibility for themselves. Everybody's responsible for their own success and their own challenges. So, remember, sweetheart, that you can have anything you want and as much of it as you want, because each person has the power to get what they want and need for themselves. Starting with these cookies, I know that you will take what you need and what you want, and sometimes it might be too much. You might get sick, and that's okay. Then next time you'll have less. How does that sound?
Perfect.
Good. Good job, Katrina. And I'm so proud of you. And thank you for bringing that up, because the greed thing is a common one. So
Okay.
thank you. It will help others.
Thanks a million.
Thank you, sweetheart. All right. And Monica, you're next up. How are you today?
Hello, Odille. Thank you. Today, it's better than yesterday. The pain is, I would say, half.
Good.
Yes. And I have written new my childhood.
Good job.
Not yet in all details, but so that I was in peace with it and satisfied, and I agree with it.
Good job.
Mm-hmm. And I really want to finish this, yes, with this pain, what's in there. And it was about, yes, first with my childhood, and the symptom was came up with the visit of my daughters.
Yes.
And next week I have the honor to visit my older daughter with my grandchild, 4 years old. Yes.
Good.
And yes, I'm a little bit, yes. It was also about energy, if I have enough energy to look at the little one. Yes.
Yes, very, very good. Okay, so let's look at that. So it makes sense that you're starting to get that pain, or that pain is still around because of the visit that's coming up. That makes sense. So let's see, let's fast forward now to next week, where you go and visit your daughter, and you're concerned about the energy and that kind of thing. Now, let's say you get there and you don't have the energy to spend long periods of time with your grandchild. What's wrong with that?
Perhaps I explain. I have to get her from the kindergarten.
Okay.
And it's a long way from the house of my daughter to the kindergarten. Yes, and in the past, it always was for me really a challenge to get to the kindergarten, because I have no car, and so I have to go with, yes,
to walk. Yeah,
to walk. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. So, and then what are the options? So we're just looking at all of the options. If you were to say to your daughter, "I'm sorry, I can't do it," what would happen then?
That's not possible. She has from tomorrow on a new work where she started to work, and she has the finish of her work is so that I have to come and to get the girl, because she cannot go earlier. And it's her first day in the new job, and yes.
And there's no one else who can fetch your granddaughter?
No.
Okay. All right. So now let's look at, when you think about walking to the kindergarten, it's a long way. And what happens? So let me ask you this as well. What would happen if you were ill or something, or you weren't nearby? What would happen? What would your daughter do?
Yes, I don't know what she will do, but I think she would find a way. Yes, she has to find a way.
So that, knowing that, because so the thing I want to do with this, the reason I'm asking those questions is I want to take the pressure off.
Yes.
I like to take the pressure off, so you don't have to do it, and then you can get to a point where you can do it, or you don't do it, and it doesn't matter. So if you were ill or you weren't there, then your daughter she would find a way. She would have to find a way, even if it maybe costs some money or whatever. She would find a way, right? Okay, so let's look at now knowing that if the worst comes to the worst, you can say, I physically can't do it. My feet, I'm just physically not capable of doing it. I'm really sorry. and she'll find a way. But let's see if we can get you to the point where you have the choice rather than you can't, right? Okay. So let's see now the fee, the idea of walking to the kindergarten. That's quite a way. What's the worst thing about it? What's the main thing that is the issue?
It's in my head. I know it's. I feel so heavy. It's so heaviness is there. Yes,
Good
and
job.
it makes it so so hard to get there.
Yes. Yes.
Nothing else. Yes.
Okay, good job, Monica. That's fantastic. Okay, so the heaviness, what does that heaviness represent from your childhood? So in your childhood, the heaviness now could be physical heaviness, or it could be emotional heaviness, or psychological heaviness. Anything there that comes to, first thing that comes to mind, even if it doesn't seem to be connected?
Yes, to go to school.
Ah, perfect, because you're going to school to fetch your daughter, your granddaughter. Okay, very good. So when you think of going to school, you have a memory that pops up that can represent that heaviness with going to school.
Memory, yes. There was a time I had girlfriends. They didn't went to school every day.
Okay.
And one time I went with them and didn't go to school. But then I lost very much from the school stuff.
Right.
Yes, and because I was never learning at home, I learned all at school.
Yes.
So I lost so much that I didn't want to school then again, because then I was sitting there in the school and didn't know from what they are speaking, and yes, and it was really not nice for me. Yes.
Absolutely. That makes perfect sense. And so now, so then what happened? So you didn't go to school, and then how did that end? What eventually happened about that?
In the end, I didn't do the examination on the end of school.
And what were the consequences of that?
No consequences. I could do a job and all this, but it was always in my mind that I didn't finish it.
Yes, very good. And what was the reaction of your grandparents or your parents, whoever was there?
Oh, my grandmother, she didn't say anything. She was always nice to me. So
There was no
yes.
repercussions
No,
from your family. Okay.
not
So
from outside. No.
okay, all right, very good. So now let's change that. So that heaviness of going to school, what we want to end up with, the final memory we want to end up with is that it was fun going to school. So, and this is for everyone, regardless of what the details are of your school days, you want to create a school in your mind, or more than one, where there were ponies, there were puppies, there was a fun fair, there were entertainers. It was a fun school. Magic, if you like, do Hogwarts. You can do, because your subconscious can't tell the difference between reality and imagination, can't use logic or reason, and cannot judge something as unrealistic. So if you created these memories of going to a school of magic where you had a wand, your subconscious is not going to go, that's not possible. It'll just believe you.
May I say something? It's perhaps I felt like stupid.
Yes. Okay.
Yes, because in my family, all the other people were very. They studied. They were doctors and so on. And me, I didn't belong to them because I was so stupid. Yes.
That makes perfect sense. That makes
Yes.
absolutely perfect sense, because there's the weight as well, the heaviness, right?
Yes.
So very good. Okay, so let's look at your earliest memory of feeling stupid.
Earliest memory of feeling stupid. I
And if
cannot
nothing
get
comes
it.
up, that's okay.
No.
That's okay.
No.
All right. So these times when you didn't go to school, you stayed, you left with those girls, and then you didn't know what was going on. Was that the first time you experienced the feeling of feeling stupid?
No, before there was another school I was, and when I was 7, we changed the town, and I came from one school to another, and the new school they were further, and I was sitting in there, and the children have known each other, and I was a stranger, and yes,
There
there
it is.
perhaps
Yes,
yes.
definitely, without a doubt. There it is. Okay, so 7 years old and the new school. Now, was there anything you liked about that new school? Did you like your old school? How was it about this new school, apart from being new?
Nothing what I can see now. No.
Oh, all right. Did you like the old school? How did you do at the school before you moved?
Um, I didn't like the old school. No.
Okay, so it goes back a little
Yes.
bit further. What didn't you like about school, the old school?
What I did, I always had thought that I'm not so intelligent like the others. That I'm stupid. That I
There you
yes.
go. Very good, Monica. Well done. And so now let's find out so how did you know that you weren't as intelligent as the others?
How did I know? Uh, I don't know. I forgot my homework, what I have to do.
Good, 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 good. Very good. And what was going on at home during that time?
Yes, an uncle of me, he lived with us. He asked me what homework I have to do.
Yeah.
And I didn't remember, and so I told him nothing.
Yeah.
And he asked me and insists, and that's not possible, tell me what, and I didn't know, and it was terrible for me, and because I know there is something, but I didn't know anymore what. Yes, so
And
that I remember.
how did that end? What was the consequence of that? If you remember, if you don't, doesn't matter.
Yes, I went to school the next day, and we had to learn the ABC,
Yeah.
and I didn't know it. So the others has known it, and I know.
There you go. This is very, very good work, Monica. Well done, because that makes perfect sense for everything else. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to change that original there, that memory, and then come forward with the others. So let's go to the homework first of all. So you've got the homework and you can't remember what it is. Okay, so now we want to create a new stepping stone memory where your uncle, instead of saying, what homework have you got? He tells you what it is.
Oh,
He
yes.
says, okay, so now we need to learn, you need to learn the ABCs. So let's go through it together.
Mm-hmm.
Does that sound good?
Yes, very good.
Good job. Very good, sweetheart. And that's your stepping stone. So you practice that 3 times in a row. And then the final piece, the final memory for that piece is that you come home and he doesn't even ask you. You say, hey, we've got to learn the ABCs. Will you do it with me? And he says, of course, I'd love to. Something like that. Does that sound good?
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Yes.
Good job. And so you do that. And then the next piece is that you get to school the next day and you know them better than anybody. And the teacher says, okay, I want you all to be like Monica. She's such a great example. And you say the ABCs, and all the other children, this is very important piece for everybody. All the other children go, oh, I want to be like, I wish I could be like that. You're so lucky. Yeah. Good. That's what you want to end up. And that, I would prioritize that memory over everything. Getting to that point where you've got that final memory, you do the stepping stone with your uncle, then you've got that final memory, because that is forming a foundation for a lot of other stuff that we haven't even covered yet or discovered yet. Does that make sense?
Yes, very much. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome, Monica. And we will continue with this week for you, so that by the time you do go to your daughter, it's resolved. Does that sound good?
Wow, yes, very good. Thank you.
Because what would you like, ideally, if you could wave a magic wand, how would you like this to go with you going to would you prefer not to go, or would you prefer to go and be energetic and be able to do it?
Yes. To be energetic, yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
Perfect. Let's aim for that. Good job, sweetheart.
Okay.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
You're very, very welcome.
For asking me.
You're very welcome. All right, and let's go to Lisa. Hi, Lisa. How are you?
Hi. Oh, good. How are you doing?
Very good, thank you.
Yay, she needs her wand. She used to get one and they go, poop.
There you go. Everybody needs a wand.
Yeah. So yesterday we did, I took my friend to the hospital because he was losing his eyesight. And when I had you guys on, on the phone, the whole time we went, because it's a ways, because I live way out in the country. And he wasn't panicking or anything. He goes, this is very relaxing. And so when you were doing the power surging, like you're doing, he goes, whoa. And then when he got out, he goes, they told me I have to have emergency surgery, but I feel really relaxed. And I was like, oh yeah, it's all that love, baby. We're sitting. So he was listening and kind of like, absorbing it and stuff. So yeah, he wasn't nervous whatsoever. He's like, he was really surprised. And and so it was really cool. And so I can relate to Katrina with the weight, the thing about the eating, because my family used to do this thing where, okay, so we're going to feed you all this food and then make fun of you because you're fat.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, that doesn't make sense. So it wasn't my programming. I always have to remember that it was their stuff. I was like, okay, I don't know where that comes from. But it was just like, when you think about it, it kind of makes you laugh, because it's like, why did they do that? I don't know. So anyway, I have something to read real quick.
Of course.
So I am connected to all life. I am spirit, light, energy, vibration, color, and love. I am so much more than I give myself credit for. I'm connected with every person on the planet, with all life and all so much love. I see myself healthy, whole, and living in a society where it is safe for me to be who I am and to love one another. I hold this vision for myself and all of us, and we can heal and be happy all together in oneness. Yay!
Yay. Good job, Lisa.
That was good.
Thank you so much. Very, very good. And I wanted to comment on the food thing. You're from an Italian family, aren't you?
Yeah, Italian, Portuguese.
Double dose then. I'm from an Italian background as well, and of course, food is a big feature of the culture as well. So that disconnect of we'll feed you and then make fun of you because you're fat, the likelihood is they didn't put that together. In other words, it's two separate things. The food is an automatic separate thing, and then making fun of someone being fat is a separate automatic thing. And those programs, of course, are running. So that's a good example, because I know a lot of the, a lot of those Latin cultures, food is a big feature. So certainly from my background.
Yeah, one thing that happened though was, and as you're speaking, it reminded me that when we would be at the table, and even my grandmother did this, so it was like an inherited thing, because my dad would get so negative at the table that we'd all leave. And I'm like, okay. So we all went our separate ways. It was very, very odd. I don't know where that came from, or it's like, okay. So I always associated food like, oh my God, what are they going to say to me next? You know, it's like, you know, just.
So very good. So of course you want to change those memories so that everybody's at the table and everybody's laughing and connecting and praising each other and, you know, being kind and compassionate. And the food you're eating is healthy. Whatever you want to eat now, put that in there as well. And that connection and love and fun, put some music on and that kind of thing. Does that sound good?
Yeah, yeah. It's really strange how people do things that you're going, what? It doesn't make sense, but the beauty of it is that we can change it. So that's so beautiful that we can do that, you know.
Yes, and that's the reason for that is because it's not the conscious mind doing it. That's why it doesn't make sense, because the subconscious doesn't make sense. The subconscious doesn't have the ability to use logic and reason. So that's a great example. So thank you for sharing that, Lisa.
Thanks a million for that. Thank you.
Of course, you're very welcome. And Chris is up next. Hi, Chris.
Hello, Lisa and Odille and everybody. Thank you so much there. Yes, I come from Italian stock. So I understand this completely. It's so helpful. So I'll go off and do my homework on that one now.
Good.
And yep, thank you. Lisa, Katrina, the reward aspect of you know, the gratification. So I give myself my rewards at the end of the day. At the moment, I'm having a drink at the end of every day.
Yes.
And I got to the stage where I was not. And I've gone back to doing that. And I know it's all about reward. And I don't know why the end of the day. I haven't thought about that. So I'll go and think. Any ideas what the association could be with the end of the day? Maybe that was just the time Mummy was had a little bit of time for me.
Yes, probably. Absolutely. That would make sense. That would make sense.
Yeah.
And perhaps it's that everything else has been done and now you get a reward for getting to the end of the day. That could be. And so one of the things you can do in addition to, one of the things you can do is change, of course, the childhood memory so that your mum always had time for you. And so the way you can do that as well is create new memories, and everyone, again, can do this. Create new memories of you walking into a room, your parent, one parent or both parents are busy with something and they drop everything for you. And they always drop everything for you. Every time you walk into the room, they stop what they're doing, their face lights up, they go, hi, sweetheart, there you are. What's up? What are you doing? Right?
Yeah.
Can you do that? All right. So create memories of that and practice them. And here's then the next step of this. At the end of, whenever you think of the end of the day, during the day, throughout the day, as you think of the end of the day, tell me now what you would prefer instead of a drink. What would you prefer to do at the end of the day? Because there's nothing wrong with the reward if it's something beneficial.
I go for a walk often. I read often. Reading very much at the end of every day.
Reading. And how about a glass of iced water with lemon in it or something?
Yeah, I can.
And what I mean is, I don't mean would you like that now? I mean, would you like to like that? Would you like that to be your reward if you could?
Yeah, and I've done that work. Yeah, yes, those are an alternatives.
Right. So
preferably without alcohol.
So then the way to do that is create those memories of your mum dropping everything whenever you walk in the room. Then create a memory of you and your mum at the end of each day, sitting down somewhere lovely in one of those swingy benches or hammocks or whatever, with a glass of iced water with the tinkling of the ice and perhaps a lemon if you want, and reading together, she's reading to you, or you're just chatting, whatever that is, create those memories and practice them. And then during your day, whenever you think of the end of the day, think of that, oh, I'm looking forward to that glass of iced water, the tinkling of the ice and the lemon, and reading my book or listening to something, or whatever it is that you're going to do. And because we go in the direction we're thinking, now, if you're thinking, oh, I can't, you know, I'm looking forward to that drink at the end of the day, then that's what your body and brain are going to want. If you think, oh, I'm looking forward to that ice cold, fresh, lovely, clean water, then that eventually will be where you will go. But you create those memories first to support that. Does that sound good?
It does. No, it's very psychologically sound and in every aspect, isn't it? I've got to also work on Daddy, because the one or two really good moments with Daddy involve alcohol.
Oh, there you go. That's perfect.
So
yes. So do the same thing.
There's a part of me does, I've got lots of other things in place, but yeah, I do know that that's there too.
Perfect. That is. Thank you for mentioning that, because others may have the same thing. So play those beautiful, good memories that you already have with your dad. Notice the connection between you, the love, the fun, amp it up, make it even better, even stronger, add other things, and then take out the alcohol and replace with a glass of iced water with the ice tinkling and, you know, a straw or a lemon or whatever you'd like to make of it. Does that sound good?
It does. It does. Thank you. Thank you.
So do those.
You're going to ask. Oh yeah, go on.
No, that's all right.
No, I will. No, you finish, because what you're saying is much more important.
Well, I was finished really. So I was just saying, you know, establish those new memories, those new childhood memories, and then look forward. Whenever you think of the end of the day, look forward to that clean, fresh ice water.
Good. Thank you.
You're very, very welcome. Good job. All right. And Swasti. Hi, Swasti.
Hello.
How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. So with the resistance to change yesterday, so I do feel less resistance today, which is really good. But I also have this thing that maybe if I use my strategies, I'll get better results, when actually I've used my strategies before and they haven't got better results. So I know I need to change that. And with the whole IQ test, there's also this like intense time pressure on my head. So time pressure to do with the actual exam, because the exam is really, really time pressured. Time pressure to get everything done before the exam.
Yes.
And then time pressure to like sort everything out by 13th of August. And so like my mum was always impatient, so I think that's where it comes from. But I think there's more, and I can't really find any more references.
Okay. All right. So let's look at that. So the time pressure, what's the feeling there? So pressure, but anything else, or is it just pressure? When you think of time, when you think of doing everything in that, you know, with the deadline, what's the feeling there?
Anxiety, stress.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And then what's the first childhood experience that comes to mind as you think of anxiety and stress? And it may or may not be to do with time.
I think doing homework in time. That's what comes right now.
Perfect. So have you changed that, or is that still there, doing homework in time?
I've just okay.
All right. So, okay, good. So then there's a place to start. So create one memory that can represent all homework, where you are, so you do the homework, and you can create like a representative memory where your books are in front of you, the homework's done, and your mum's saying to you, are you finished already? And you're saying, yeah. And she says, are you sure you did everything? You say, yep, you can check. And she checks and she goes, oh my goodness, that was speedy of you. Well done.
Okay. Yeah, there's also my mom just saying like just random stuff, like you've got to get this done, this done, this done. So I did put like servants and butlers in. But my mom is still there saying you've got to do something. So
yes, so well done for putting the servants and the butlers in. Now you want memories of your mum going the opposite. So saying, don't worry, sweetheart, take your time. There's plenty of time. There's no rush. So a lot of that, a lot of seeing your mum going, don't worry, take it, not just to you, but to others as well. So she's always relaxed. You can make her a hippie if you like, if that helps. She's always relaxed and laid back. It's okay. Take your time. Plenty of time. You never have to rush. Yeah?
Okay.
Does that sound good?
I think I might have to change her childhood to be able to do that because she was always under pressure to balance.
Absolutely. So create memories of her as a child where her parents are going, it's okay, take your time, everything's fine, there's no rush.
Yeah.
And if you get it done, you get it done. If you don't get it done, it doesn't matter. It's not the end of the world.
That's going to take some work. Yeah.
Lots and lots of that because it's so foreign. So make sure it's really, really strong. Practice that over and over. And I would say, at least for the rest of today, because I know it's afternoon there already. So at least for the rest of today, whenever you, so you don't have to do this, but this is what I would do, is to not do anything to do with the exam or the preparation for the exam for the rest of today. And every time you think of it, play those new memories. Every time you think of it, redirect your subconscious to the new memories of your mum as a child and as during your childhood, where everybody's going, and make it everybody, not just your mum. It's okay, there's no rush. Take your time. Well done. This is fantastic. Yeah?
Okay.
And those memories of your homework where so your mum says, don't worry, you take your time, you don't have to finish it today. If you don't finish it, you don't finish it. It's not the end of the world, but you do finish it. And she's like, oh, well, that's great, well done. So keep redirecting like you would with the house training a puppy, putting it outside every time it goes to pee on the floor. Every time your mind wanders off to anything about the exams or the preparation or anything like that, redirect it to those memories once you've changed them. Does that sound good?
Yeah, I'll work on that.
Then have a good sleep tonight, and then tomorrow you can reassess and see, okay, what do I want to do now strategy-wise?
Okay. Yeah, thank you. And also with the strategy getting like better results, if I do it, is that linked to ego?
Well, let's look at that. So how do you know that your strategy would be better?
I don't. I know it would be worse, but I want to use.
How do you know you think that? How do you know you think it would be better? What's giving you that impression?
Well, whenever I like do questions using my strategy, it just feels like it's going right. But then I always run out of time. So I think the thing is linked. So obviously the strategy is not good, but when I use the people strategy who taught me the strategy, the new one, yeah, you can complete it in time, but still my brain's like, no, you've got to use your one.
Okay, all right. So let's look at that, because that sounds sound and makes sense. So what's wrong with doing their what are you worried about using their strategy? What's their, so if it helps you get it done in time, what's the problem with it?
It's something new and something I haven't tried before. Yeah, it's just I haven't had experience with it.
Okay.
More than results or something.
Okay. And now if you were to, so you're, just to get this straight, so you're practicing at the moment, you're practicing these questions, answering these questions, is that right?
Yeah.
And you've got, so let's say you've got a few weeks, right, to do this? Okay. So if you spent, what's today, Tuesday, so tomorrow's Wednesday, if you spent Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and maybe the weekend, see how you feel, only doing their strategy, just practicing it, doing it, and watching what comes up for you. So when that thought comes up, but I should, my strategy would work better here, or whatever that is, send love to it. Just send love to it and just continue with their strategy, whatever the one is that you've learned.
Okay.
Keep doing that and tell yourself it's only for the rest of the week. And then if on Monday you decide, no, you know what, my strategy is definitely better, you could do that.
Yeah, but
because then again, it takes the pressure off. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I don't know. Yeah, but I'm just repeating the same thing now. But
no,
like the whole thing of, oh, my strategy is better, and get to work with your strategy. Yeah, okay, I'll do that and see what comes up. Yeah, if something comes up at that time, I'll change that.
Right. So any resistance to doing this, using their strategy for the rest of the week and then making a decision? Any resistant thoughts or feelings that come up?
Not at the moment, but it might come up when I actually start doing the work.
Right. Okay. Yes. So, and then just watch that. So intellectually and consciously, there's no reason not to do that, right?
Yeah, consciously, there's no reason not to, but there's something like stopping me. Yeah.
Yes. So then just send love to that. And if it becomes clear what it is, then you can change it, of course. But if it doesn't, just keep sending love to it and go. Yeah. So it's like a child that is frightened of it being in a swimming pool, and you're holding them, and they're safe. And she keeps screaming and going, ah! And you're going, it's okay, sweetie, I've got you. You're all right. You're all right. That's what you want to keep saying to yourself. So every time your brain goes, oh, but I should be doing my strategy, or my strategy would work, or I don't trust this, because I think it's probably about trust there as well.
Oh, yeah. Something about trust. Okay.
Yes. So you might want to follow that little rabbit hole as well and find where the trust thing is. And it's probably, again, so don't lose faith, but it's probably going to go back to your parents when they left you. And that is absolutely okay. It's just another little piece of data. So then change that, whatever that is. Okay. So they go and they come back, whatever you need to do to establish that trust there, that you can trust.
Okay.
That sound good?
This trust one, I think, yeah, it definitely comes down to my parents leaving. So when I imagine that now with you, I see the child at the airport saying bye. And when I put the child on the suitcase and they take them along, there's another child there. So they're almost duplicating. So it's an anchor.
Okay, very good. Yes.
Yeah.
Have you found an anchor? No. Okay. So let's look at that. So there's a child waving, and because on one case they could put the child on the suitcase and take them. Now let's look at what happens if the child is you and you're waving, but you're waving hello because they're coming back.
Mm-hmm. So
you see them coming out of the thing where they come out with their suitcases, and you're waving, and they're, oh, I'm so happy to see you, and they've just been away for a day or two.
That's weird. We did this before, I'm pretty sure, but there's a barrier.
Okay, the barrier's back. Yep.
It's back.
Okay, that's okay. What's the barrier? What does the barrier represent?
Like lack of attention and affection.
Okay, good. So let's go earlier. So before your parents left, any memories from before they went away?
I think it's to do with what comes to mind now is having a boy as a child instead of a girl. So there's always this whole thing about
oh, that'll do it.
Yeah.
Yes, of course. That makes perfect sense. All right. So how do you know that? How do you know that it was better to have a boy than a girl?
Well, they're always like where I grew up and where my parents grew up. I was quite old-fashioned and ancient. They always say like, oh, if you have a boy, they can carry the surname forward. They can take this land. They can become this, whatever you want to be. Yeah.
Okay, so you want to change that. That's crucial. That's a foundation. That's a really core foundation root, right? Mm-hmm. You want to change that to where in your culture, girls are treasured. If you have a girl, then you have kindness and compassion. They're cleverer than boys. They're more intelligent. They're always more successful in whatever they do. They can look after us when we're older because they're more intelligent. They're more emotionally intelligent. So build up whatever they say about boys. Make sure you've got really strong evidence, references of hearing that from everybody, whoever you heard it from when you were a child, hearing that so that it's the complete opposite. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does make sense. And I think it's also my mum. She had a miscarriage with a boy.
Okay, yeah, another layer, a whole nother layer there. Yes, perfect. Okay, so end result, there was no miscarriage. Then there wasn't a boy.
Okay, so the miscarriage happened before I came, so
right. But
I came.
So there was no miscarriage. You were the first time she got pregnant was with you, and they were so excited, and they found out it was a girl, and it was oh my goodness, little girl, and have that. So create memories like that, and then have them telling you the story as well. So all your life, your parents have told you the story of when they found out that you were going to be born, or that you were born, however you want to create that, whatever works best, and baby pictures and how treasured you were.
Yeah, that will definitely contradict some of the things that my parents have told me, even as I've like grown up.
There you go. There you go. That makes perfect sense. Well done, Swasti. That's huge. That is a huge.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm missing. I feel there's like.
Pardon?
I feel like I can breathe. Like there's a weight.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, that's foundational. And well done. And thank you for sharing it, because there are others who have that those kind of things in their childhood and in their history and their culture as well. So that's perfect. Good job, you. I'm so excited. Yay.
Thank you.
Good. All right. You're very, very welcome, sweetheart. Good job, you. All right. So I think that's everyone who's on camera. So let's go to now. I received an email from someone that I will answer now. So she says, hi, Odille and Steve. It's been a few days, almost weeks. I have a topic that I hope you can cover. Odille mentioned creating a whole new childhood when she thinks, and when she thinks of hers, it is just one or two images, stroke memories. Can you brief the steps again? I believe she said you think of the new childhood and then just aim the superpower at any resistance that comes up. So then you end up with just that one three question marks, happy childhood memory without resistance. Is that right? Okay. And then she says, sorry if this is not the right question or topic, but if it is, I would love a rehash. I think your group would benefit, because I notice that the roots are repeating for most of them, stroke us on the calls. Very good. Okay, so let's look at that just very briefly. The new childhood thing, it's going to be different for different people. So for some people, I know Steve has a lot more detail than I do, and in fact, Steve writes his in a journal, the new childhood memories. For me, I'm the other extreme, where it's just a scene here and there. It's not just one, but it's just the odd a scene here and a scene there, and it's kind of spotted. The most important thing is the feeling. And so, for example, some people need details in order to bring up those feelings, to create those feelings. I just have a moment, and then I get the feeling. I know that feeling matches that whatever's there. The superpower is, yes, send the superpower to the resistance, but also change whatever that resistance is. So, for example, I think of, my mum and my grandparents and my dad all laughing and happy. And then let's say a moment comes up where I think, yeah, but they wouldn't have done that. Then how do I know they wouldn't have done that? And find the memory and change it and you can send love to it to help change it. But make sure that you do change those references and practice the new ones. So like I say, it's going to be different for different people. The number of memories you have, what they are, how much detail, and that's going to depend on the person. Do whatever gets the feeling for you of the new memories of love, joy, fun, support, safety, security, abundance, affection, encouragement, enthusiasm. Whatever creates those feelings is what you're aiming for, and however your own brain happens to work to represent that. So I hope that helps. And what else? Anything else there that I should know, Steve, that I need to answer? Thank you for all the comments. There's some lovely compliments there. You're all very welcome, and I'm so glad that you're finding it helpful and useful. All right, so let's do some targeting now. And take a deep breath and go into your superpower state, however you do that. Good, and start to feel your heart opening, your chest expanding, that wonderful feeling as that light or energy shines out from your heart. Good job. And now allow that light or energy to spread down to your toes, up to the top of your head, and out to your fingertips. So you're now full of that light, that energy, that love. Good job. And fill each of the 50 trillion cells that make up your body with that light, that love. Love each cell just for existing. Very good. And now allow that light, that energy to fill your subject with that love, that person, animal, place, or activity you love. Fill them with that light, that energy, exactly as they are. And then imagine they don't want to be with you, or they don't have the qualities that you love and admire and appreciate in them. And keep them filled with that love, that light, that energy anyway. Very, very good. All right, and now let's go to Monica. Fill Monica with that light, that energy from the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. Love Monica just for existing. Filled with that light, that energy, exactly as she is. And now allow that light, that energy to overflow from Monica and fill the heaviness. Whatever that heaviness is, wherever it comes from, whatever it represents, fill it with that light, that energy, that love, loving it exactly as it is, shining that light into any darkness. Very good. And now allow that light, that energy to fill Monica's left arm and shoulder with that same light, that energy, that love, exactly as it is. Whether the pain goes or not, love it exactly as it is, shining the light into any darkness. Very, very good. And now let's go to Chris. Fill Chris with that same light, that energy, from the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. Love Chris just for existing. Very good. And allow that light, that energy to overflow from Chris and fill the Chris this evening at the end of the day, whether she has a drink or not. Love her exactly as she is. No expectations, no conditions, pure love, light, that energy, exactly as she is, and shining that light into any darkness. Very, very good. And now let's go to Lisa. Fill Lisa with that same light, that energy, from the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. Love Lisa just for existing. Very good. And allow that light, that energy to overflow from Lisa and fill the two people she knows who have health emergencies. Fill those people, both of those people, from the tips of their toes to the top of their head and out to their fingertips with that light, that energy, that love, exactly as they are. No matter what happens with their health, love them exactly as they are, shining that light into any darkness. And allowing that light, that energy to overflow from Lisa and fill the financial circumstances, situations, and events and experiences of everyone in the world. Whatever's going on, love it exactly as it is, shining that light into any darkness. And now let's go to Swasti. Fill Swasti with that same light, that energy, from the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. Love Swasti just for existing. And now to the IQ test that Swasti will be doing. And when she's the booking of the date, fill that with that light, that energy, that love, whether she books the date or not. And no matter how that IQ test goes, love it all exactly as it is, loving Swasti exactly as she is, and as she will be, loving the IQ test and everything to do with it, the preparation and everything, shining that light into any darkness, loving it all exactly as it is, no matter what. This is the power. Very good. And now to Katrina. Fill Katrina with that light, that energy, that love, from the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. Love Katrina just for existing. And allow that light, that energy to overflow from Katrina and fill the weight that she wishes she could lose, the weight she's putting on, and her ear pain. Fill it all with that light, that energy, that love, loving it all exactly as it is, no matter what. Whether it goes away or not, whether she gains more weight or not, love it all anyway, shining that light into any darkness. Very, very good. And now to Carrie. Fill Carrie with that same light, that energy, from the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. Love Carrie just for existing. Very good. And allow that light, that energy to overflow from Carrie and fill everything and everyone in her life, no matter what. Her whole life with that light, that love, that energy, no matter what happens, no matter what's going on, shining that light into any darkness. And now to Caro. Fill Caro with that same light, that energy, from the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. Love Caro just for existing. And allow that light, that energy to overflow from Caro and fill her daughter who's feeling ill today. Fill Caro's daughter with that same light, that energy, that love. Whether she feels ill or not, love her exactly as she is, shining that light into any darkness. Good job. And now to Sue. Fill Sue with that same light, that energy, from the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. Love Sue just for existing. And allow that light, that energy to overflow from Sue and fill the sadness. Whatever sadness she's feeling, whatever's causing it, fill that with that same light, that energy, loving the sadness exactly as it is, without needing it to change, shining that light into the darkness. Good job. And now to everyone who's off camera today and watching the recording, fill them with that same light, that energy, with that, from the tips of their toes to the top of their head and out to their fingertips. Love them, each one, just for existing. Good job. And now think of yourself later today and fill that version of you with that light, that energy, that love, no matter what you'll be doing or thinking or experiencing or feeling. Love that version of you exactly as you are, shining that light into any darkness. And now surge. Very good. And surge again one more time. Excellent. Good job. And now pick a target. Something or someone that triggers you at the moment, and it could be something or someone in your own life or in the world, something you know about, whatever it is, and fill that with that same light, that energy, loving it or them exactly as it is, no matter what. Even if it never changes, shining that light into that darkness, loving it anyway. Very, very good. You can open your eyes. And we went over a bit of, time today, but hopefully it was useful and helpful. And of course, we will see you back here tomorrow, same time. And lots of love to all of you. Keep practicing. You're very, very welcome, all of you. Good job. And I'm so proud of you. All right, everybody. Lots of love. Bye-bye now.